Hello everyone, this is CJ Novo 992 and today we are back from the brand new video. Today's video, you can tell by the nasher, you can tell by the thumbnail, and if you are really quiet, and I mean painstakingly quiet, and you open up these bad boys, you can tell that Rangers won the day with the amount of keyboards that's been furiously hit and covered by Celtic tears. Oh man, I'm well and truly gonna enjoy today's video, and we all should enjoy the rest of our day, because what we saw today wasn't a changing of the guard or a power shift in Scottish football. That's been and gone this season. The shift, the change, it's already happened. 28 points in the league certainly backs that up. But what we saw today was a timely reminder that this is now the norm. This is the reality that we live in now, ladies and gentlemen, because you look at the last 5 Old Firm matches in every competition you can take into consideration. There is 4 wins in those bad boys, including this 2-0 win that we got today, with the only blemish out of the last 5 matches being a 1-1 draw that happened a couple of weeks ago when we're sitting going to Parkhead barely out in neutral coasting because there's a 20-point gap in the league. And that right there, for me, it's not too bad at all when you consider we are up against the best team in the country. And I know everyone's had their dig at that, and I had my dig in yesterday's preview video, and Barisic absolutely tore it to shreds in his press conference just a couple days ago. But I actually think Barisic is wrong when he says that they are saying that they're the best team in the country, being the best joke or the biggest joke of the season. Do you know what the biggest joke of this season is? That entire frickin' football club. And today was yet another timely reminder, because once again their on the park arrogance and off the park arrogance was silenced and slapped down by this Rangers team. And I think we will transition into the old game recap, because there's a lot of stuff that I actually want to talk about. So going into the game, I think when we saw the starting 11, I don't think there was any surprises to the team. Maybe Kamal Roof was going to be in there for me personally, but I think when you see Scotty Arfield, you can understand what they're doing in the middle of the park, and it gives Joe Aribo the opportunity in that right hand side to have his Old Firm game, because we've been waiting on it. We see his technical ability, we see his quality, but we've not quite seen it all in a package versus Celtic. But by God, did that sexy feet SOB go ahead deliver from the first whistle to the last in this game of football. But he wasn't the only one, and I'm so happy and I'm so proud that I get to say this. Nathan Patterson started at right back, and he showed throughout the entire game why John Kennedy was terrified of a backup 19-year-old Rangers right back starting this game. He was brilliant. And I think it was very important to mention the right-hand side of Rangers, because you go back to the previous Old Firm where that's where we were really weak in that game. But no, we won of the day, and we go into the 10th minute. I think we had a bright opening start, despite the ball being in a couple of dangerous positions for Celtic. For me, the defence marshalled it expertly, got it away. And in the 9th minute of this game, there's a nothing ball, and I mean a nothing ball, right? Ryan Kent's got a man on him, the defence is there for Celtic. He's in our half, just beside the halfway line. It's a nothing wee pass into him, but this man's individual quality, technique and overall ability makes a nothing ball into a holy shit, something's gonna happen here, because he just takes a touch of the football, turns it that way, spins his entire body. Scott Brown's running that way like he's trying to catch a bus to go to Aberdeen early, leaves Scott Brown for dead. He then gallops, starts to go like Seabiscuit, and then Welsh comes in, sees the danger, nails Ryan Kent, by the way, which should have been a yellow card in my opinion. I don't think Bobby gave it, but again, he is the Rangers referee apparently. But aye, no yellow card for that, but he does play advantage, so I'll give him some credit for that. And that right hand side of Rangers was heavily involved in this, because the ball eventually gets played to Joe Aribo from young Nathan Patterson, and this is what we want to see from Aribo. We know he's better technically than anybody else in this league, so go and show it, Joe. Have the confidence to just beat people. And he's turned Laxalt inside out, he's turned to defenders. He ends up having a shot that is eventually cleared up in the air by Ayer, I believe it was. And who's gambled at the back post? Who's read that there may be a mistake? Just put him in a position. Who saw a potential opportunity for the ball to come this way? Stephen Davis, the 36-year-old miracle man himself, who's not only at the back post, but he goes ahead, drops an overhead frickin' kick it. I can't believe that I'm saying that, but our number 10, Stephen Davis, scores in the 10th minute with an overhead kick that can only be added with extra spice that the man who kept him on was Scott frickin' Brown, who was yapping saying he was offside. No, 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 Scott. You kept him onside. You were level with him. And I think that's very fitting that he was level with Stephen Davis, because there's been a lot of talk about lists and tiers and all this stuff. But this right here for me is the only time Scott Brown should ever be level with Stephen Davis, and that is to keep him onside so Stephen Davis can drop an overhead kick in an Old Firm. Oh man, I'm laughing that much and having that many jokes that I've even forgot to plug the frickin' channel. If you are new around here, please consider subscribing to the channel. We are trying to reach 50,000 before the end of the season, so any help would be greatly appreciated. So our positive starts gets the result that we wanted with an early goal, and I still can't wrap my mind around that 36-year-old Stephen Davis is sitting there flying like an eagle, but he was at the back post. Brilliant finish, and I thought that was it right, let's go and get them, because you can see when we didn't give Celtic time on the ball, you can see how average some of their players are. Everybody looks good when you give them 5-10 yards of space, but when you start cutting that off and you start charging them down, you can see the difference in qualities of players, and I think that's why Stephen Davis always shines, because you can have a player right on him, but he can turn away, make things happen. Their 36-year-old certainly can't do that, sitting there running about like an old horse, just wanting one more run. And a couple of minutes later, McGregor has a shot, and this is McGregor for them, by the way, you know, the one that punched it in on January. Aye, that laddie, aye, he loves it. People's elbow. Anyway, People's elbow boy goes ahead and shoots one early the bar. He gets a corner kick. Somehow McGregor didn't touch this, and then the set piece was eventually cleared away, but it gets played back into the mixer, and for once, our offside trap doesn't work. It's a good ball to Welsh. I believe he's trying to shoot it, but ends up skipping it back out for a pass. It falls to Ayer inside the box, and his dipping volley is then chisted down by Hollander on the line, and then just effortlessly cleared away, which once again backs up my theory about Hollander. He's not a human being, that's a cyborg. Now, we briefly mentioned Nathan Patterson earlier on, and the next major opportunity in the game came in the 30th minute, where he just went, you know what? I've watched a lot of highlights of Tavernier. Watch me, I'm going to put my Tavernier jammies on, and I'm just going to sprint at this back line, and it's just a gut-busting run down that right-hand side. He takes on 3 Celtic players, nips in between 2 of them, gets in the box, and I think it's one of those scenarios he's went, holy shit, just hit it at the goal, because we all know none of the Celtic goalkeepers could save a PDF file. They're absolutely dreadful. So he ends up trying to have a shot, but it goes just wide. And my only frustration with that is, again, knowing him having a goal, because I only saw one Rangers player in the box. I felt like if we gambled more, he maybe would have picked out the pass like he did in the rest of the game. But again, that's showing that quality that backup right back for Rangers has, and his future in this game, not only for Rangers but Scotland. The sky is honestly the limit, and he showed it all afternoon. But you know what, as has been a couple of minutes since we talked about a Rangers goal, let's go ahead and talk about another one. And it's no surprise to me that it comes down that rampant Rangers right hand side, because just 5 minutes after Patterson's gut bursting run, Joe Aribo, Mr. Feetabix himself, was Dane Hings with a football, and it's Hings that my brain can't comprehend, and I'll tell you somebody else's brain that couldn't comprehend it. We Laxalt, oh my days! I hope he's better at Fortnite than he is at defending, because Joe Aribo straight up ran him up and down that right hand side, twisting and turning. It honestly just looked lost for the 45, but it was no wonder he was dragged off at half time. You couldn't put him back out there, because what Joe Aribo was doing to this laddie is just straight up bullying, because he grabbed little Laxalt, right, and he just dragged him up and down that right hand side like a da, trying to find his son a barber's. It was vicious. It was almost like Joe Aribo took offence. I mean, we've all took offence to that wee boy's haircut, but it was like, no, you're shaving that after day. And he just took him down that right hand side, twisted turn, flipped him like a pancake, cut inside, and then eventually passes the ball into the mixer. And what I loved here is Kent makes this happen with his run to the front post, because if he doesn't bust a gut to try and get on the end of that, it's not going to be a goal. And yes, he doesn't end up scoring it, but he's impacting this as well, because he forces Kenny to make something happen, and Kenny tries to and ends up slapping it in to the top bin. So that makes it 2-0. And I look at this jonjoe Kenny boy, who a lot of people was again yapping about making a couple of wee decent appearances elsewhere. But no, I'm going to hold my hands up and say I was completely wrong about this laddie, because you talk about impacts in Old Firm games. Well, he's now played 2 games, and in his first Old Firm, he gets the assist of the assists for Rangers, where he has absolutely no pressure on him. He just blooters it for no reason out for a corner that we eventually end up putting into the back of net, thanks to Alfredo Morels. That there was a brilliant moment of magic from jonjoe Kenny to get us the goal in that game. But now, in his second Old Firm, he ends up using the outside of his shin to hit one top bin. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's absolutely sensational, because I'll tell you something right now. He's been some player for us in the 2 games that he's actually played. Now, speaking of brilliant for us, by the way, there's no surprise to me that the man on the wall once again has another top tier performance for Rangers. And that's what the stat people can't understand or appreciate. If you didn't watch Rangers play the entire game, you'll never ever understand how important that man actually is to the team. Now, I'm sure everyone who's clicked on today's video saw this game, but this is why I love and I rate Ryan Kent so damn highly. He is such an important cog to our machine, and not only does he get us gone, but he scares Celtic to death, man, because every single time he touches the ball, he demands a double team. Always. Look at it. Go back and look at the game. There will always be another guy that comes over, because no one can stop him 1v1. Nobody wants to try and stop him. I mean, look what he done to Scott Brown all afternoon. That wee swaggering boy who wears short t-shirts to show he's cool and doesn't get called or anything like that was sitting there freezing in the shadow of Ryan Kent, because that is as close as he got to the laddie all afternoon, skilling and frilling. And I just thought, for the rest of that first half, Ryan Kent utterly took the piss out of Celtic. Fake shots, we Ryan shimmies, as we call them here on the Shamrock. There were shimmies upon shimmies upon shimmies, and I love that he was doing that. Back heels, anything you want. He was terrorising that Celtic team, and it's been a long time since I've seen a Rangers player get on the ball, and every single time he does it, the opposition is terrified. But aye, regarding the actual game of football, the way the second half started was pretty promising for Celtic, because Bobby Madden, 5 feet away, clearly sees Glenn Kamara gets hacked down from behind, but plays on. I mean, he's absolutely wiped Glenn Kamara out from behind. I think the Rangers players stop for a second because they assume it's going to be a foul, because it's a foul all day. But they play advantage. That ends up leading to David Turnbull having a shot from just outside the box that is well saved by Alan McGregor's big shagger paw. That you might be thinking that is the McGregor moment. But McGregor went, nah, I'm going to give you an entire scrapbook page worth of moments in this game, because 10 minutes after that fantastic save versus Turnbull, Elyounoussi, who is another player that I hear so much about but I never ever see, I almost forgot he was on till this point, but he anyway gets down the right hand side. Now, I think there's very telling that this is offside. Now, I've not seen the exact replay, but every single Rangers defender is like this. I mean, Hollander isn't even running because he assumes the linesman's gonna do his job, but anyway, he gets said that he's onside, so Hollander actually has to burst a gut to get back. He puts a little bit of pressure on Elyounoussi. Goldson comes there to cover. Elyounoussi gets his shot away though. It's saved right here with the old chesticles of Alan McGregor. And that rebounds over to Edouard at the back post for a tap in. But big Edouard, cold, ice cold Edouard, balloons it out of the frickin' bar. But as we're speaking of Edouard, the next talking point was in the 59th minute after Nathan Patterson makes his one and only mistake in the game as his touch is a wee bit heavy. Celtic pounce on it. It's a ball in behind for Edouard, who again hasn't got the confidence, hasn't got the belief to just open your body up and shoot. Instead, he looks for the pass. Again, you're probably expecting your midfielders to pick out these balls, but your centre forward in an Old Firm game, go ahead, open the body up, have a shot. He doesn't fancy it. He's wanting away. He just then passes it with the outside his foot to Elyounoussi, whose first touch is absolutely pish, and Alan McGregor's there, gets nips in front, and that stops that from being 2-1 to Celtic, where once again I'm sitting back going, why does everyone say that Elyounoussi a player? But that 12-minute pressure of Celtic was then eased up by us once again getting on the ball, using players like Aribo, Glenn Kamara, Stephen Davis, majestic in the middle to get us back in the ball, slow it down, get us in control, and then after a phenomenal bit of play. We were just offside with a pass down the right hand side, but once again we get on the ball, we pass it to Ryan Kent on the left hand side, and his first touch here just skins Scott Brown again. And that, I mean, Scott Brown's performance in this game, you talk about last dance and everything like that, didn't he save the last dance for me? Because honestly, that laddie right there couldn't play dead in a Western. He was embarrassed by Ryan Kent all afternoon. Kent skips away from him, has a shot from range which is saved by Bain, but it gets spilled to Alfredo Morels. But I wouldn't even class this as a chance, as Morels is on the stretch, he's got a defender there, and Morels' rebounded effort ends up going straight at Bain as well. But that was a wee timely reminder of our quality in the game, and it was needed to break up Celtic's pressure at that point. But we all know there is another massive talking point in the game, so let's get to it then, shall we? Now, it first came about from the 78th minute, where Connor Golston does an absolute gorgeous slide challenge on Scott Brown. I mean, perfect, picture perfect slide challenge, stops Brown, gets the ball cleanly and gets the ball first, but Bobby Marin gives it as a free kick, maybe a couple yards out from the box. Edouard, once again, absolutely stinking, dreadful free kick, ends up just hitting it straight at the wall, and from the rebound it goes to Lee Griffiths, who flops after Joe Aribo's kind of touching him. I can understand why it's given as a penalty kick, but then you have to give the other one a couple of minutes later. But anyway, 79th minute, it is a penalty to Celtic, and Mr. Edouard, who we keep hearing stories and hearing this about how great he is, has the opportunity after a stinker again, which does actually push it now to, what's that, 6 games without an actual goal from Edouard, because the last time he scored against Celtic hit off his hand from a McGregor shot when he was offside and shouldn't have counted. But anyway, he steps up with the opportunity to put that in the rear view and get back scoring goals versus an actual Rangers team. He steps up with a penalty, but Alan McGregor goes ahead and dives to the left, just like the song suggests, ladies and gentlemen. Strong paw away as well. Not only does he save it, but he puts in an area that nobody can tap it again. And that, for me, summarises the importance of Alan McGregor. Nobody can ever diminish him. If anything, I'm going to say something that might sound quite daft, but I think this is the best McGregor that I've ever seen. Even in his younger days, where honestly he gave me so many important memories, but in terms of sheer consistency, I didn't ever see him make mistakes. For me, McGregor's at the top of his game, and when they stepped up for a penalty, you would have noticed I didn't tweet out, I didn't panic, because I went, I fancy him to save this, and he did. Incredible McGregor. This is Alan McGregor's world. We all just live in it. That being said, Alan McGregor, you can have my kids. Now, I know it's not physically possible, but I'm willing to try if you are. Oh man, right, there is one last talking point from the game, and it came in the 83rd minute after Stephen Davis, again, so joyous, so useful looking, strolling it down the left hand side. He beats not one, not two, but 3 Celtic players. He gets in to the box in 83rd minute after running the show, and his ball across the box has gone to Aribo for a tap in, but Greg Taylor's got the old Ronda Rousey armbar in there, pulls him to the deck. That there for me is as much as a penalty kick as the Aribo one. If you give the one on from Aribo on Griffiths, you have to give this one. I mean, he's literally got him in an armbar. It's quite clearly a penalty, but Bobby doesn't fancy it, so isn't given. But that is the game setting match right there, ladies and gentlemen. It was 2-0 to Rangers. We march on, we continue our fantastic season. Celtic once again silenced and reminded that they are no longer anywhere near top dog. Now though, before I go ahead and wrap up today's video, if you're talking about man of the matches, for me I could speak about every single one of them, because I thought Helander was very good in the game as well. I thought Kamara was very good. I thought Morels was solid up there as well, and the players we've already spoken about. But for me, I'm going to go with one man and one man only, and it's going to be Stephen Davis, because he reminded everyone why he always was and he always will be a much better player than the fraud that lines up across for him. And that's going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. Stephen Davis at 36, shining and just absolutely looking sublime. But that's me officially done and dusted with today's video. If you haven't got involved already, make sure you be sharing your opinions down there in the comment section below. And if you have done, I will be speaking to you very, very shortly. But until then, I've been CJohn92. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourselves. If you didn't mind hitting the like button as well, by the way, that helps people find it. That'd be greatly appreciated. But until the next video, take care of yourselves, all the best, and bye-bye.